I have my Wheel of Life goals tracker. So this Wheel of Life is based on Zig Ziglar's 7 key areas of focus, where he says you want to be trying to do, 1 or 2 little small actionable habits and routine in these 7 key areas. And in no particular order, they are mental, physical, spiritual, home or family, finance, career, and social. And so what happens is, if any of these key areas of focus is a high priority for you for the month of September, or if you may have neglected any of these areas from previous months, and it matters to you, and you want to work at it, then you may want to focus on creating goals for yourself. So then that way the wheel, so pretend this is a wheel, if you neglect certain areas too often or for too long, then that side of the wheel will be flat. And of course, when we have a flat wheel, it doesn't function properly. So it's really important that you may only have 1, 2, or 3 goals for the month of September, but make sure later throughout the year that you are not neglecting any of these for too long. So today I'm going to go and set up my goals with you. A lot of them will be very simple, small, actionable steps that are achievable, and so it's not going to put a lot of strain on myself when I am planning and doing my day-to-day tasks. So for the first one, I am going to use today the Filofax friction erasable pen. The barrel is the limited edition, so this one is black ink. So look, for the month of September, I've started reading a book. This is Lean Learning by Pat Flynn. So I won this book as part of a workshop I did with eCam. So for the month of September, I'm going to read. So I'm not going to go and say finish, because I just read, about 5 to 10 minutes of whatever book, or if I'm learning. So for my mental well-being, the goal for September is read. So I'm going to put read Lean Learning by Pat Flynn. So I'm interested to read that, because in that book, from what I have heard about it, because I've just started reading it, is you do not need to know everything for you to make a start on any projects or hobbies, which is a trap I have fallen myself into, where I think I need to know everything first before I can make any movement on whatever project I want. So lean learning is, you only need to know enough to be able to take action or take the first step. And so I need to do that, because I'm always thinking, I got to know all the things. Everything's got to be in the right place at the right time, 100%. For me to even make any action or take any action. Also, I am doing an online course by Ali Abdal, so I'm going to continue in implementing whatever challenges that's part of that. So continue the 1K challenge by Ali Abdal. So that one's a little bit easier in reaching the goal, because there's weekly meetings, there's weekly courses, or workshops that he does. So if I just follow along and do the challenges and do the action steps that is required for that week, then I'll just do the best I can with the knowledge I have and the energy and capacity I have at the time. So not making myself too worried about things. For my goals, for my physical well-being, so I actually have created a goal with my Planneret's Inner Circle membership, where we said, look, we're going to have one focus for the month of September. So this is the one where I'm really going to make sure I do my best to add movement, workout, and getting myself outside. I'm using my Kuretake Zig Clean Color Dot marker, and the one end is the sponges, which is what I'm using here. So the things I want to do is stretch in the morning. So I've been doing that, consistently, if not every day, consistently. Also been doing 11 push-ups plus 11 squats And then the thing I want to start for the month of September, or actually I started today, is do Pilates 3 times per week, because I really need to add more intentional movement and more workout in my week, because it's really important that I turned 50 at the beginning of the year, 3rd of January, and somehow, you turn 50 and everything starts creaking and everything starts aching. Last week, I really had lower back ache, and I think it took me 3 to 4 days to get better, but I know if I'm making sure I'm adding movement, walking outside, light strength training or weights or Pilates, then if I do have any aches and pains, then I can recover from it a lot quicker. So for my spiritual well-being, this is something I've been doing for a long while. I haven't been consistent with it for August, so I want to make sure I pick it back up. And this is doing meditating in the morning using my Headspace app. Okay, so that has just a guided meditation. So for me, a spiritual is about being mindful, focusing on the breathing. So then when I do have those anxious thoughts and anxious moments, being a mum of now an 18-year-old and a young son, 16, who's on the autism spectrum, a lot of, anxious thoughts and self-doubt and limiting beliefs pop in my head. And I have found that meditation was a great way for me to acknowledge those feelings, emotions, and maybe intrusive thoughts, and then just let it go, and then have the ability and build the skill to focus on something that in the moment, which is breathing in and breathing out. So then that helps me not get stuck in my own head, because once I'm stuck in my own head, it can get me quite low and quite down. So I want to make sure for the month of September that I am focusing on my meditations in the morning. Now for the home, again, another very small, very doable routine in the morning is doing 5-minute tidy up. So I'll just either put 5-minute timer on my phone or my Apple Watch, and then whatever I spot that needs clearing, that needs tidying up, putting away, I just put the timer on for 5 minutes, clear the dining table, clear my desk space area, I'll put the laundry away or empty the dishwasher, whatever it is that has a clear start and finish, that there's some sort of transformation. So then that is a nice little win that I could start tallying for my day at the beginning. And then so that's what I want to do for home. So for you, it might be something for the family. So whatever it is in the home situation, whether family or home, have a think, is there anything that I would like to achieve in the month of September that will put that home or my family as a top priority? Again, it doesn't have to be a major goal or a major task. Keep it small, keep it simple. So if you watch my podcast episode about how you can build habits even when you're exhausted, it's about making the action steps so tiny and so easy to do that it's very hard to say no to it. So now the other key area of focus based on Zig Ziglar's Wheel of Life is, first of all, I need to get back at logging our expenses. So I haven't been keeping an eye on our expenses. It's not so much that I'm spending a lot, so actually quite good, and have been, what's the word I'm trying to say? Been keeping our expenses to a minimum, or just the bare minimum, and not having too much frivolous spending. But there are some things that can creep up that we need to keep an eye on. And so I want to make sure. So I'm actually going to start tracking expenses. And just track, no need to change any of our budget categories or the amounts for each category. I just want to get back into the habit of tracking the expenses or the spendings we've done, and then be able to see which budget category do we need to, maybe we need to tweak our grocery budget. So at the moment, we spend $300 a week on groceries. Maybe we need to make that a little bit higher, but because I don't know what we've been spending on, with all things getting more expensive and everything, the things that you used to buy, and now, a lot of times, are double the price. So I want to be able to know, as an example, is our grocery budget on par with what we need? So rather than, let's just spend and keep spending. Are we on track? Are we spending too much? Or are we not spending enough? For me to tweak the budget for each category, I need to know how much we're spending. So I want to go and start tracking. And I think for that one, I'll print out my expense tracker. I haven't printed it out yet because I thought, you know what, it's a good start to just keep an eye on the spending. Now for career, for me is my content creation. I want to be able to, on YouTube, do my 1 times live stream. Minimum, I stream my plan with me on my Monday. For those of you who watch me from the US, it is your Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening. So I want to make sure I keep doing that. Minimum, again, 1 podcast episode. And then I want to work on opening or launching to the public my Planneret's private membership. I'm currently doing all the stuff now. We have weekly brain dump and weekly resets. We have weekly Zoom meetings where we dive in further. So if you've been watching any of my episodes or any of my videos, we deep dive into those. We work on personal goals. We work on, worry logs and more in-depth journaling. We work on creating once a month fun little crafty things. For August, we made these self-care or take a break beads. So we made a few different ones. And so I think for September, maybe we'll be using polymer clays and create little trinkets, little planner trinkets that we can add into and embellish maybe our pencil cases or our keychains. So we're doing not just about planning, but we're creating a community where we can connect, celebrate wins, share struggles, and just know that however we are feeling, we are not alone. Because a lot of the times, the burden of being overwhelmed, feeling a little bit anxious and feeling stressed out is highlighted when you are doing it alone, when you are not, sharing the burden. So if you are wanting to find out when I open up the Planneret's Inner Circle to the public, you can scan that QR code. But yeah, scan that QR code and then you can join the wait list, find out when I open it up to the public. And then for social, so social again is very, very important. Connecting with your friends, connecting with loved ones, whether that's DMing, FaceTime, sending them funny memes or, sharing funny videos that may bring them joy, or catching up for coffee or dinner or just anything that does not leave you isolated, okay? Because as humans, we're not supposed to be alone. We're supposed to be part of a tribe because our brain is still prehistoric setting that we need to be part of a group, because when you're in a group, you survive a lot longer. So think of caveman days, right? If you're on your own, you got to fend for yourself. You got to go and fight the saber-toothed tiger all by yourself. But when you're in a group, you feel supported. You don't feel alone. So for me, I'm going to continue connecting with loved ones. And so just having that in my habit tracker, it'll remind me, have I, talked to anyone today? Have I, sent anyone a DM or a message? Or have I shared anything that I think they would find funny or also get a kick out of? So connecting with loved ones is so important. If you are feeling a little bit alone, just sending someone a text or calling someone can not only help your spirits up, but also help their spirits, connecting with loved ones. So those are my goals for the month of September. So I just use the fine tip end of my zebra mildliner to create my little headings, and then I will use my 0.38 Muji gel pen and just outline the edges. So this is just one of my easy go-to colorful headings. So you don't have to have any fancy skills to create these hand lettering, because it's your handwriting. So write the way you would normally write. The only difference is you're going to use a marker. So whether you all write it in lowercase or in uppercase, just write as per normal. You can make it smaller, you can make it bigger, and then to make it pop on the page, outline it with a black ink, and you will see how nicely it looks on your page. And then look, creating all these different color, it just looks like, you know, those fancy fonts that you would get like in Canva or the ones you purchase. And the beauty is it is unique to you because it is your writing. So that is my goals for the month of September. Now, a lot of these are very, very simple. Some of them only take, you know, a few minutes. My meditation on my Headspace app, I've set it only to about a 5 to 6 minute meditation guide. The reading, I normally just do, I put it for 10 minutes because I know for me, if I read any longer than that, I'll read the same line over and over again, and then it won't stick, it won't enter my mind. So I know my limit, and a lot of times with any of the non-fiction book, self-help books, I like to also write, you know, keynotes. So a lot of the times the 10 minutes, I read a bit and then I'll write a bit, and then that helps me retain the information a lot better because you'll read it and then your brain has to send a message to your hand to write it down, and then you read it again. So essentially you're reading something 3 to 4 times, and that is a really good way to help retain the information. Even a mental goal could be if you want to learn about a topic that you may not know anything about. And if I had the time, I'd love to know a little bit more about geography. I'm not very skilled or where different countries are. So apart from your major countries and cities, everything else I'll be like, where is that on the map, you know? And then the social connection, again, an easy text, sending someone an emoji. You know, my best friend from high school, sometimes I'll just send her a heart just so then she knows I'm thinking about her. Again, 5 minute tidy up. So if you are at the moment moving into September, and September is going to be a busy season for you, just focus on one goal. You don't have to have 7 goals like I do here. A lot of these things I have already been doing, let's say, since when did I start bullet journaling and doing a planning in this way and habit tracking. So 2017, what's that, 8 years. For the first 3 years, it took me a long time to, you know, stick to meditation. But the more you do it in small, simple steps, you'll get there. So if you are ever in a position, whether you're new to planning or you're stuck in a rut or you're feeling down on yourself because habit trackers at the beginning of the month and you don't action it, don't fret. A lot of these have taken me 3 to 4 years of just doing it again, falling off the wagon, pick it back up. Let's do it a little bit better. Let's pick up again when we drop the ball again. This is just a really good way to remind me, especially, is okay, don't let your mental well-being not do any reading at all for the month of September, because we know how important it is to keep your mind active. So that is my Wheel of Life goals tracker for the month of September. I'm going to use this as a base to write down the habits and routines that I want to set for myself for September. So I'll keep that on hand. And then at the back of this printable, again, this is part of the Ultimate Planner Bundle printable. I do have it in Happy Planner Classic and letter size as well, but this is the A5. The back of it, there is a mid-month check-in. So what I'll do when it comes to about the 15th of September, I'm going to have a look at how well I'm doing with the habits that I've set for myself at the beginning of the month and see, is it still important to me? Should I keep going for the rest of September, or do I have too much on my plate and maybe some habits and routines I need to just put a pause on it until later on? So having a mid-month check-in allows you to pivot, allows you to motivate yourself that keep going if you're doing a great job, or to leave it all together until maybe later in the year. Just because you have set yourself goals for the beginning of the month, if things are a little bit more difficult halfway through, you can change your mind. That's right. It is your goal. It is your plan. It is important that you do what fits within your lifestyle in that moment. Now, however, if you say to yourself that, look, physical and adding movement to your day is very important, that it is high priority and it matters to you, if you know that maybe you're having health issues and you need to make sure that you're adding some sort of movement and exercise or workout, and yet, maybe you haven't been achieving it for the first half of the month, then you got to ask yourself, how can I make it easier for for myself, so then I am achieving it. Don't leave it till the end of the month to do a review or a reflection or a check-in.